Welcome to another episode of In Your Business. Today we're going to meet with an entrepreneur. Again, each time we talk with entrepreneurs, we're finding so many different elements about each one of them. Each of them are unique in their own way. And today we're going to talk with an entrepreneur that has several employees over the years that have worked for him, but he's also kind of created the environment that his employees are almost like entrepreneurs. And they adjust to change, and he understands change. He knows how business works, and today is going to be very interesting to learn from Jeff Huffine of Irongate, which is located in Hagerstown, Indiana.
Yes.
Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Jeff, I'm looking forward to just picking your brain and using this video to help students, help people in the community understand business, but also understand the changes of business. So what I like to do is always get to know the entrepreneur, which is yourself, and then get to know about the business. Within your business, I want to talk about, how you're developing other businesses, how you're developing employees, how you're making it all work. Your business makes other businesses work, and I think that's excellent. So let's start with getting to know you a bit. You grew up in the area?
I did. I grew up in Economy, Indiana. Went to Hagerstown High School, met my childhood sweetheart. My wife's name is Stacy, and so the first 15 years of my career when I was working for the man, and I worked and commuted, worked in other cities and commuted from Hagerstown. So when it came time for me to have the opportunity to start my own business, I wanted to do it from Hagerstown. So that's how I wanted to be close to family. And so that's the reason why we put it in Hagerstown.
So then basically you grew up in that area and then went through high school there. In college, did you go straight from college, right from high school to college?
Yes. Or? I went to Heron School of Art and Design, which is Indiana University, so my degree is Indiana University, and so I did, 4 years, got a BFA in visual communications, and then from there stepped out and started my career.
Okay, so when you said you were commuting, I'm thinking Indianapolis, or where were we commuting to?
Right, I commuted, I spent 10 years at Ball Corporation when it was headquartered in Muncie, so I was a corporate designer. And had a great, rich experience working for a heritage, a company with a lot of heritage and a family-owned business that became public, and spent 10 years there, and then spent another 5 years out in Indianapolis working for USA Group. So, so I was downtown Indy, commuting from Hagerstown every day, which was quite a haul.
Sure. And then after that, you pulled it back and you came back to Hagerstown to start your own business.
That's right, and I was very fortunate because all the moon and the sun and everything aligned up perfect for me because I was actually working for USA Group and it was purchased by Sallie Mae. And so what happened was that allowed me to get a severance package, step away from that, and also turn around and become a contractor. Okay. So the Lumina Foundation is my oldest customer, and that was the organization that was formed from the purchase of USA Group. And so they're the second largest education foundation in the United States. And so basically I had 3 built-in clients when I started my own business. That was USA Funds, which was the original student loan guarantor, and then the Lumina Foundation, and then I also was working for Sallie Mae. So all my colleagues I was working with on staff all rolled into those positions, and so I was able to basically start my business, have a 3-month severance package so I didn't have to pay myself, because the whole part about the design business is finding the work, doing the work, getting paid. Those windows can be really long.
Sure.
And so I was able to get money into the pipeline and never look back. And so I was blessed from that standpoint.
See, and that's great. And the interesting part about that is when I'm in the classroom teaching entrepreneurship, it's sometimes difficult. I mean, you're using a textbook, and it's difficult for the students to always understand all the elements. But one of the things I think is important is to get experience.
Yes.
And it's not all bad to work for the other company and gain that experience before you try to apply it to your own business.
Absolutely. So I worked 15 years, and I worked for Indianapolis Magazine, and I did that for 1.5 years. So I worked for a publication that we produced monthly, and all the design, all the stuff that went into that. We were doing photo shoots, fashion shoots, physically putting the book together, and then working on the next issue. So it was really fast paced. It was a great way to kind of cut my teeth and get a lot of experience. And to show my age, that was pre-computer.
Okay, all right.
And so we were doing it the old-fashioned way at that time. And so, and then from there, I went to work for Ball Corporation. And Ball Corporation was great, and I got a lot of exposure to the real business side, and being in a corporation and having that setting really helped me kind of like hone my skills in terms of communication, talking business, being in that environment and understanding what that was really helped a lot.
Sure.
And then from there I went back out to Indianapolis and went to work for, at that time, USA Group, because I knew that I was going to start my own business. I have this desire to be an entrepreneur. And so I was always freelancing at the same time I was doing corporate work, because I wanted to diversify my portfolio and to start to build relationships, because at some point it's about who you know, then what you know. And so that becomes really important. And so I knew that I wanted to get back out to Indy. I was able to go out there, and then, like I said, then everything kind of aligned for me after about 5 years. So, you know, that was great. So sometimes it's really, when you get those corporate jobs, it's really hard to break those velvet handcuffs.
Right.
And so because of the perks and things that are offered to you. For me, I wanted the challenge of being an entrepreneur, of trying to do it myself, to run my own business, to have a product, you know, and to be proud of that.
Well, you've certainly taken that experience and turned it into something really great.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about Irongate.
Yeah.
So when did you actually start the company?
Well, Irongate was formed in 2010, and so I have a business partner. His name's Jeff Richards, and Jeff is also a graphic designer, as I am. And so I always kind of joke about it that you know, you don't really want to go into business with the same skill sets, but we did, and but it's worked out great for us because our personalities are so different. So I call myself the outie, and he's the innie. And so I go out and do a lot of customer relations, a lot of business development, and he's the guy, he's our creative director. He stays in-house, he watches the jobs, he builds relationships with our current clients. So he's in the trenches every day. And
Sure.
so it's worked out. Our roles have been really defined, and so it's worked out for us for that reason. We formed in 2010. We started working together about 2003. I started working independently in 2001. So I met him 2 years after I started out on my own. And then from there, the business has kept growing, and we just kept acquiring, you know, more clients and also more stuff.
Sure. Well, I think that's really interesting. So you were a sole proprietor
Yes.
prior to the partnership.
Right.
And in class, oftentimes we get into this discussion because partnerships
Yes.
are very risky.
They
They're
are.
challenging, and you really have to work to make them work. Okay?
That's true.
And so for you to go from a sole proprietor and be doing well into a partnership, can you just kind of elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you're a sole proprietor, the burden's all on you. And so, you know, everybody thinks that there's this, running a business can be glamorous, and it's a lot of work. And so, especially if you're by yourself, you really start to feel the weight of that on your shoulders, because if you're sick, there's nobody there to make things happen. If you get super busy and have multiple clients, then all of that really starts to impact you, your quality of life, what you're trying to do, whether you still really like it or not. And so, in fact, there was a great book I read called The E-Myth. I don't know if you've ever read that.
Yeah, I do.
The E-Myth's a great book because it talks about what your strengths are, and then how to hire other, you know, other skill sets that you might need that complement your own set. And so that becomes really important. And so a business partner becomes really key to that, for that reason. And for Jeff, we started working together, and I say we dated for 7 years. It was 7 years we worked together before we actually formed Irongate Creative. So we really got to know each other. So it's a lot like getting married, you know, because this partner that you're going to have, you have to be accountable to that person financially as well. And so you give up some of your financial independence to each other, because how you spend and how your lifestyle impacts how the company is going to operate. And also just the whole fact of that you're both getting paid. And so that money and that communication becomes really important.
Sure, but if one of you think you can make more money, you both have to agree on how much more.
Yes.
You have to go in this together.
That's right. And so that communication's always got to happen. Not to mention just that we have to constantly kind of keep our ears to the ground and keep a temperature of where we are with our company and how the cash flow is working, how we're spending our money, all of that constantly. Because listen, when you take employees, then there's a responsibility that you have, right? They get paid first.
Sure.
They have to get paid first. And so that's the side of owning your own company that sometimes can be hard.
Sure, and before I leave the partnership,
Yeah.
Because it interests me that you've got a partnership that's working so well.
Uh-huh.
I want to make sure people understand that because each of you have your own life.
That's right.
And then you bring it together in the work environment.
That's true.
And making sure that works because your family may be doing something totally different than his family.
Right.
And
Well, if
you can't be
like-
judgmental on that. You have to be able to keep it professional.
Well, that's true, and if I may, I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm 5 years older than he is. My kids are older. My kids are through college. His
Okay.
kids are now just starting to go to college. So how we spend our money is entirely different.
Sure.
How he's saving his money is different. So we're on two different paths. Not to mention, how many times have you heard, don't go into business with a family member, don't go into business with your best friend? And I didn't even know Jeff. We were introduced by a mutual friend. And then from there, we built our relationship. And that's why it did take us 7 years to get to that point where we decided to finally form a company, was because we wanted to make sure we were a fit. And we both are people that don't rush into things.
Sure.
And so, in fact, if we can't agree, we just don't do anything, in terms of that. So that's kind of our philosophy.
Sure.
So.
But you have it all set up legal, and that's important too, is
Yes.
to make sure you have a good attorney, a good
Right.
accountant.
Yes.
Make sure everything is in place.
Good
so that
insurance
everybody knows
person.
what the future holds.
Right. We have an accountant who's a tax lawyer, and she's also she is our business consultant. So that's who we talk to. And I tell the story, and I think it's kind of interesting. So she didn't really want us to go into a partnership because she said she was in a partnership that she thought was ironclad, and she said it didn't even work. And so because she said people change. You give up your financial independence to each other. Sometimes you resent that. And so there's just a lot of dynamics that can really change how you feel. And so she's like, I wouldn't do it if you guys don't have to. Well, we got to the point where we needed to because our business was growing. And so because of that, though, she brought us together. She asked us to do some things, and one thing that she asked us to do was make a list about each other, things that maybe bother you. Let's put it on the table. Let's have that hard discussion, because if we're going to go into a partnership, we're going to be with each other for a long time, every day. So she was able to bring us together and do that with us, and then we also looked at a 5-year and 10-year plan. So we also, each of us brought what that vision looked like to the table, because that's another thing. So if you're working with someone for a long period of time, sometimes the vision might change.
Sure.
And so long as you're still on the same page together, it becomes really important.
Sure. Well, and as you indicated at the very beginning of the show, you attribute it to age,
Right.
okay? But it's not, because business changes so rapid
Yes.
that it's not even our age. It's just our technology.
Right.
I've been doing this show for 12 years.
Yeah.
And in the 12-year time, we've gone from basically large cassette tapes to
Yes.
DVDs to flash drives to today we're strictly electronic. I mean,
Right.
we're going to YouTube, and we've gone from a set to virtual reality.
You got it.
And I mean, those things have happened in 12 years. That's
Yeah.
not even an age thing. It's just a change thing day by day.
And that's the greatest challenge. I mean, what did I say when we first sat down? I said pre-computer. I mean, there's
Right,
probably
right.
people watching this saying, what? How old is this guy, right? But, think about that. Just the field that I'm in marketing and design and in communications, just how much it's changed. It's changing so fast. And so for us, how do we stay relevant?
Yeah.
The technology is changing. At the core of it all, there still has to be a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But how you deliver it is changing all the time.
Right.
And so for us, that's the challenge.
And that's going to lead me to my next question for you, though, and that's about the business plan, because I teach that, and I teach the components of the business plan. I take it serious.
Right.
And I make the students really think it through and address each of the issues. When I speak with entrepreneurs, I often ask, do you have a business plan? If I get an immediate yes, I know they do. Anything else, I know they don't.
Right.
And they always have one in their head. They can answer any question I ask.
Right.
They just don't have it written out.
Right.
You need to have it written out. You need to go back and visit it and revisit it and
Right.
make the changes. Do you guys have a business
No,
plan?
we don't.
Okay.
We have a loose idea of what that is. Everything that we do has been defined by design, because we're both designers. And so in our minds, we've had this long conversation about what we think our business should look like. And at the core, it's all about being creative, and it's all about the product that we deliver. And from that, then we've pushed out, in terms of trying to do integrated marketing. And because of that, we have introduced components. So, for example, we have video, we have digital advertising, we also have web development, and we have web hosting, and we do traditional design. So putting all that together and understanding what that is, and then chasing certain types of corporate clients, because that's the other thing, is like trying to find the right fit for us. And so we know what that is. We've defined how far we're going to reach. We've defined who we want to try to talk to. And we've also defined how much we want to make. And so those things all help us with what we consider to be our business plan in terms of moving forward.
And I would say you have a business plan at that point.
Right.
Maybe not written down, but you
Right.
have it, and you can
Yes.
answer the questions, and that's outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that you're very caring about your employees. How many employees do you have?
We have 5 full-time employees, so there's 7 of us altogether, counting the 2 partners.
Okay. And let's talk about how you work with them, because I know you take their number one.
Right.
Okay. You make sure that everything's in line for them before yourself.
Right. So what's important for us is family, and we feel like that's our culture is, that we're a family. We're very tight. We're laid back, and we really think we have a very talented staff, and so they're pretty well-adjusted people. They're good people, and they all bring certain disciplines to the table, which is really nice. And they're very capable of working directly with the client as well, and so they can have that exposure with the client, which we really like. But trying to bring that talent along really is important as an entrepreneur too, because you want to generate more income.
Sure.
Right. And for us, it's all about billable hours, and so trying to create the billable hours, trying to also reach for larger clients. It's important to have key significant players that can help us reach that.
Sure. Well, I want to backtrack just a bit, because we're talking about Irongate.
Right.
But I don't know that we ever shared with the people watching what exactly Irongate is.
Yeah.
So if I was to come to Irongate and say, okay, I want to hire your services,
Right.
what are those services? What is it that you're doing?
Well, we like to talk. You always hear about your elevator speech and what that might be.
Correct.
And so what I try to tell people is that we're a branding, marketing, design firm, and that what we do is we do integrated marketing. So we have all these different components, and we try to bring it all together. So we want to bring strategy to the table. We want to do research. We do, like I mentioned earlier, we do video. We do 2 kinds of video. We do motion graphics video, and we also do traditional video. And we build a lot of brand anthem videos, and motion graphics videos are great for complicated subjects that you can reduce down to a very simple form. And so we do some of that. You could go to vimeo.com/Irongate, and you can look at a lot of our videos that we have. We have 4 or 5 pages that's full of videos, so it's a great place to go see that. We also do web development and web hosting, and we do digital advertising, and we do traditional stuff too.
Okay.
Now, you take all those components, we want to do integrated marketing, right? So we're not interested in, if there's a business plan here, is that we don't want to do a one-off project. There's all this intellectual property we have to develop. So when I go to work for a client, I have to learn about that client. And so then it's not economical to just do one project after we invest a lot of time in research and trying to develop it. So what we're looking to do is build a relationship. We want to have an ongoing relationship with a client. We're working with them over a 12-month calendar, so that we develop all this content and all this knowledge that we research and pull out, and then we can apply that into strategy, and also and then do integrated marketing for them.
Sure.
It's
kind of interesting, because that can be very intimidating.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of things,
Right.
and a lot of things people may not understand.
Right.
And I mean, how many different types of video did you just describe?
Right.
And most people just think of video as one.
Right.
But again, that delivery is very important, because I'm guessing that the companies you're serving are from all over the world.
They are. Well, primarily the Midwest, but we also work out of state a little bit too. And so we try to stay within about a 2-hour radius if we can, which that puts us in major cities. That puts us in Columbus, Ohio. That can put us in Cincinnati. That can put us in Indianapolis. That can put us, in Dayton, and that's a lot of population. And the reason why is we want to be face-to-face with our clients if we can, because that's important to build those relationships. So that's something else to think about with your business model. If you're going to reach further, it's going to cost more money.
Sure.
And it takes more resources to reach further. And
Right.
so we take that in consideration. Also, back to like things that we offer, the other thing that we offer is branding. And so that's an area that we really, really like. Branding's really interesting because it's not, people sometimes think branding is just your logo and really what it is, it's not your logo. It's not your identity that way. It's your other identity. It's your personality. It's your reputation. So when we get into branding projects, it's really interesting because a client might call us in and say, hey, we want to do a logo and a tagline. Well, what does it stand for, right? What's that reputation? And so what we do, well, then what that leads to is research, and it's a study of culture. That's what it is. It's about culture. Sure. And then what we find out is it's about how their culture works. It's about those brand touches, right? So people form opinions based on how they get treated. And so it's all about, and then what comes out, now we're not even talking about identity anymore. Now we're talking about their culture.
Sure.
And we're talking about how they do business. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those conversations are hard.
Well, I would think that would be difficult because, I mean, there are so many entrepreneurs out there and so many businesses, and they're varied all over the place.
Right.
We could have the exact same company, if you will, manufacturer, whether it be, retail, whatever it may be, but whoever's running that company, that entrepreneur, it's all their personality that comes out.
Absolutely.
I mean, the exact same product can be manufactured at A and B, but it's all about that culture that leader is bringing out.
Absolutely. And, and how willing is that leader to listen? That's the real hard one, because sometimes you don't always have good news, right? And so how willing are they to and it's hard to look inward and to take criticism.
And I would have to think, though, from your seat, that you can't be that yes person. You can't just walk in and say yes, 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 because if you do, you're going to deliver a faulty product.
That's right. So when you talk about branding, who owns your brand? It's not you that owns your brand. It's your customers, right? They form an opinion. That's who owns your brand. So they know honesty. They know the truth. And so if you stake a claim and you say something you're not, who knows it? They do. What are you perceived as? Right?
Correct.
Dishonest, or a liar.
Right.
And so your brand, you have to protect that. Just like every company has a brand, just like every person has a brand. If I could talk to all your friends, I could find out what your personal brand is.
Right.
Maybe you're the funny guy, or maybe you're a jock, or maybe you're artistic, you're the creative kind, or you name it. We all have categories. And we start to fit into those categories, and so and companies are the same way.
Sure. Well, and I'm going to talk about that relationship you're building. That I hope, becomes a long-term relationship.
Right.
Because just as we talked, and you said pre-computer.
Right.
Okay, we talked about the changes.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
No, it's okay. But it's interesting to see how we're coming around to that, because we went from really large computers to smaller computers.
Right.
To laptops, to our phones.
Yes.
And just in the last 2 years, I've noticed in my classrooms, fewer and fewer laptops.
Oh, yeah.
Fewer and fewer tablets.
Yes.
And today, the phones are the computer.
Absolutely, and that's what I tell my clients all the time, that, don't refer to it as a phone, because it's not. It's a mini computer is what everybody's carrying.
But in your business, I would think one of your parts are the fact that you have to be able to manage those changes, because if you work for me 5 years from now and you set up a beautiful website, it's got e-commerce, everything's working.
Right.
I need an app.
Yeah.
And that app is not a website.
Right.
And the website I have is not necessarily going to work with an app.
Right.
So how do you stay current with the technology?
Well, first of all, we talk about apps quite a bit, and we talk about web-based apps, and we talk about native apps, and the whole process of developing those things. In fact, we have been talking possibly about trying to do an app for the city, even for Wayne County, and we are working on a campaign right now for It's Good to Be Home, which is this whole push to try to recruit people back into the community, here in Wayne County. And so it's trying to start that conversation. And so one of the things that we're talking about is like a very robust website that can be a central point for communication of like what all the things that are happening in the community, especially if someone's coming here for the first time, where they could really kind of see into the community and what that might look like. And also we've talked about an app, you know, in terms of being able to do push notifications and being able to drive information to people becomes really important. And let's quit making websites that are, you know, just pretty to look at. Let's make them relevant. Let's make them real tools.
They have to work for us.
They have to work for us. That's
Yeah,
right. That's
absolutely.
the key. That is the ultimate key, is that. And also back to the whole thing about designing everything now for that small screen, right, becomes so important. And the whole thing about how you're going to try to pull people through back to it. You're right. And so there was a time when you do marketing and you would hope someone would see it.
Sure.
Now it's all about analytics, and it's all about engagement, and it's all about pulling people back.
Yeah. You have a very difficult job. I know you enjoy it. You don't see it as a difficult job, but you are the one who has to make sure your business runs smooth.
Yes.
Your employees run smooth. Everything is good.
We got to find more
and
business.
Those businesses run smooth.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got to manage those relationships, build those relationships, and
Yeah.
always be a part of them.
Absolutely.
So you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Jeff, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
All right. This concludes another episode of In Your Business. You know, each of the entrepreneurs we visit with, they're always so unique. And if you really pay attention to Jeff Huffine and what he's doing at Irongate, he is really unique, and he's helping businesses. He's helping those businesses grow and develop. That's helping our communities. It's helping the employees not just of his business, but the employees of the businesses that are helping. So, you know, entrepreneurship is just something that's fun. It's fun for me to be a part of, and it's fun for each of the entrepreneurs that come on the show to be a part of. Thanks again for watching In Your Business.